Blue 22. Hike, hike, hike.
You are watching Sports and Sorts live on YouTube. That's 75% sports, 25% sorts. And here are your hosts, Shane and the Bry Man.
All right, we are back. Sorry for the delay. We had a little bit of a technical issue, as usual. Because that's the show. Maybe we should just call this sports and technical issues.
It's a weird. Hey, listen, we're in weird times right now. Things are bound to go awry. It is what it is.
Oh, and now it's just going to keep playing. Now.
See, look, I think we should have just done the show without any sounds today. I think that would have been way better. I mean, let's be honest. That's the way every other show is working right now. I think I was telling you before we came on that
separate ourselves from this.
I don't know. We should just fall in line and be like the rest. We're conformists. No, like John Oliver.
Oh, I can see.
His show.
Hey,
the John Oliver show was super bizarre this weekend because he was just by himself in this studio, like a white background, and he's telling jokes and there's no audience laughter, and it's really weird. And you find yourself not laughing along because I mean, he was saying some funny stuff. Yeah, and the other thing I was mentioning was how weird it is to watch professional wrestling right now. These guys are in the Performance Center down in Orlando.
You know what you know what they should do
wrestling in front of nobody.
They should have on the screen, because like they do in the audience, they should have an applause meter like pop up on the screen.
Not even
like add it in. Like you can.
They should have. Well, our good friend Tim Callahan mentioned, like Tim was saying, like maybe they should just pump in the audience sound or something just to do something. And I was like, I don't know. I said, I think that would make it more bizarre than it already is. But hey, listen, this is our new normal right now, right? I mean, this is the way things are going to be for probably a while.
We all have sound effects.
I mean, it's probably going to be that way for a while. So
this show
but
is
you know
complete.
But you know what? We are not here. We are not here to talk about the C word today. We are not going to say that word. Well, we'll say it. But listen, the bottom line is we are going to – fucking Damien already said it right off the bat. It's COVID-19. We are going to try and avoid that word, and we are going to talk sports today because there is a lot of sports to talk about, specifically in the National Football League.
Yep. And the National Football League sound effect will be today. There we go. That's the next. Because we don't have our normal sound effect.
Things are so fucked up.
Ding dong, the Brady's dead. Yeah. We will be talking about that. And
I was
we will be talking
singing
about
that. I was literally singing "Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead" this morning, like going up the stairs. Mm-hmm. And, like my wife was trying to figure out, like, what are you so happy about? I'm like, oh.
What am I so happy about? I don't know. All right, so let's get into this. Let me open up my Any List. We should really be sponsored by Any List. I mean,
we're going
to down to it,
among other things.
Yeah.
So we're also going to try and do some chronological order to this too, because we've had a lot happen over the last 48 hours.
We're going to get into that first. So like what we're going to do is we're going to get into a lot of the big trades that happened. There's a lot of stuff that's happened, a lot of signings that have happened, lots of big things, lots of things that were said by key people. Hence the Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, and Ding Dong, the Brady's dead. Not really, but we'll see how that all transpires.
The dynasty is dead. Ding Dong, the dynasty is dead.
Well, I mean, it all depends on who you think is really the main person in this dynasty. And if you think that you are all hail Bill Belichick, then the dynasty might not be dead. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But let's get into the first topic, which we wanted to talk about is to get chronologically speaking, the CBA. And Brian's going to give you a little bit of just what happened, what the players agreed to, and all that kind of stuff. And just go ahead.
Right. So the players did vote. The NFL Players Association did vote on the new. Oh my God! Please don't. I can't concentrate. You're really messing with me. The Players Association did vote on the new collective bargaining agreement, and here I think are the four major components to come out of this. Jesus Christ. So anyways, starting in 2021, so not this coming season, but starting in 2021, this is the biggest one, that the regular season will increase to 17 games, and it will reduce the preseason mercifully down to 3 games. Oh my God. All right. The playoff field will be expanded to 14 teams. That likely starts this year, and only the number 1 seed in each conference gets a bye. That's it. So there are no bye weeks for number 2 seeds. If you're the 1 seed, there is much, much more incentive now to be the best team in your conference, not just in your division, but in your conference, because now that means if you're the 1 seed, overall, you get a bye, and that is going to be huge. Player revenue share will likely rise 1.5 percentage points from 47% to 48.5%. So look, for the guys who get paid big, that doesn't mean a lot. For the guys who make the league minimum, that's a lot. That's a big deal for them and good for them. And finally, and this is the last one, there are reduced penalties for players who test positive for THC, and they will eliminate suspensions. No more game suspensions for marijuana use. Christ. Now, if you're a big Josh Gordon fan, like I actually am a Josh Gordon fan, because I feel like the guy's biggest crime in life is that he just couldn't discipline himself to stay off pot. And I mean, you can think whatever you want about pot. It's no worse than alcohol. Let's be honest. It's probably not as bad as alcohol. So bottom line though, here's what it means for Josh Gordon. Unfortunately, this means nothing for him. His suspension still holds up. All suspensions that took place before this rule went into effect still are upheld. So Josh Gordon still has a lot of hoops to jump through to get back to the NFL. The good news for him is if he does get back to the NFL at some point in his career where he could be an effective player, he won't have these problems anymore. But, unfortunately for him, that's not the case right now. So that was the big news with the collective bargaining agreement. And it did not pass by a very big margin. I believe it was something like 51.5% to like 48.5%. It was a really close vote. Really, really close. But it did pass. Owners get their way. Ultimately, this just means the league is going to be swimming in more cash than it usually does. So, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. And for teams like yours and mine, especially this year, the Miami Football Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills, with the playoffs being expanded now, and with the Patriots, with this division being as wide open as it is now because Tom Brady officially announcing that he will not be a Patriot anymore, this division is now wide open, which means that there is a possibility.
Wait, what did you say?
That teams like the Dolphins and the Bills,
who's not going to be what?
Could make the playoffs.
Did you just say that Tom Brady's not going to be a Patriot anymore?
That is correct, but we'll be getting to that.
Patriots fans.
We're gonna work our way up to that.
Yes, we will.
That's why I got my Dolphins hat on today. I'm feeling good. Plus, the Dolphins had a good day yesterday. The Dolphins often do well in free agency, but just not well in the actual season. But for our team, for my team and your team, very active days yesterday, and around the league in general. But I've done enough talking to start. You want to kick things off with your thoughts on NFL free agency? Yeah.
Turn that down a little bit. It's a little loud. So, yeah, we can talk about it because we can get into the big thing, the first big thing that happened that I saw, and that was the early on yesterday, and that was the big trade between the Texans and the Cardinals. David Johnson,
huge,
plus a second-round pick and a fourth round in 2021. The Cardinals give them up and give them to the Texans. The Cardinals get DeAndre Hopkins plus a fourth-round pick. That is a very interesting situation because now you have DeAndre Hopkins with Kyler Murray. You have David Johnson with Deshaun Watson. I do think that this makes both teams better. I'm not sure where the Cardinals are going to be going as far as running back situations go, but I will say Devontae Freeman did get released by the Falcons. So we'll see where that goes. We'll see what happens there. So that's a very interesting. Everything's very interesting right now. Very interesting the way that everything shook out. That is the main thing. What did you think of when you first saw that? When you saw that trade? Because I was kind of like, wow, that's like, I don't know if that really makes them
I'll tell you,
much better.
my first thought was that the late owner of the Houston Texans, Robert McNair, is probably spinning in his grave right now because Bill O'Brien has done everything he can to run that organization into the ground. Yeah. This is why you have to have, in the NFL, you have to have separation of church and state. And what I mean by that is you cannot, let me say that for a third time, you cannot have your coach be your GM. It very rarely works out. Yeah. Even the Patriots.
David Johnson's good, but he's
even the Patriots
and DeAndre Hopkins is arguably top 3 best wide receiver in the game.
Even the Patriots, who have been the most successful franchise, maybe in sports over the last 20 years, even they have that separation. Now, most people think Belichick calls the shots, but they do also have a GM. Mm-hmm. Most organizations operate with a general manager who, that's the guy who buys the groceries, and then the coach is the cook. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. You've got to have that separation. You cannot, because here's the problem. Bill O'Brien's a fucking idiot. He makes bad
not suited for children, not suited for work. You shouldn't be at work anyway, but your children might be home, so be careful.
And do you want to know why? You want to know why Bill O'Brien had to make this trade? He had to make this trade because the Dolphins fleeced him last year when they gave 2 first-round picks to the Dolphins for Laramie Tunsil. Did the Dolphins want to trade Laramie Tunsil? No. But when a team calls you and says, we're going to offer you 2 first-round picks for him, you say yes. You just do. It's way too much to turn down. That wasn't all, too. There was like a second-rounder in there as well. Yesterday, how do you trade? And I'm sorry, look, there's a lot of great receivers in the NFL. In my opinion, DeAndre Hopkins is the best. I believe he is the best. I believe he is the best. Is it debatable? Yes, of course it is.
He's definitely top 2 for me.
But he's top. I think in most people's arguments, he would be top 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. I just think he would be. I don't know. The guy catches almost everything thrown his way, and he can get separation. He's still in his prime, by the way. And what you got in return for him? Are you kidding? Listen, David Johnson. Listen, I'm sorry. David Johnson was at one point a good running back. The guy's had injuries. He's not the same player. That is not. If you're looking at that and saying, okay, well, it's David Johnson for DeAndre Hopkins plus picks, but I'm sorry, it was not enough. Especially when you look at what the Minnesota Vikings got for Stephon Diggs from the Bills, which I don't think was a bad trade, by the way. The Bills took a little bit of a beating, but I'm going to get into that a little bit. We'll get into that later because I don't think that was that bad of a trade, actually. I think it was actually a relatively fair swap.
We can talk about that in a minute.
But going back to this was a fleecing. But Bill O'Brien put himself in this situation because he traded away all of his significant draft capital for the next 2 years. He had to hop back into a draft. And his only way to do it was to use his biggest chip. Well, one of his 2 biggest chips, which would have either been Hopkins or Watson. And listen, it's a quarterback-driven league, so they're not trading Watson. It was a bad trade and a bad day yesterday for the Houston Texans. Like, just ridiculous. I don't know what to say. I mean, that is a – now, I will tell you as a Dolphins fan, I'm thrilled because even though we have their first-round pick this year, which turned out not to be a great pick because the Texans had a decent postseason, so, that's their 26th pick. But I have a lot less faith in the Texans being that good next year. So I'm really hopeful that next year's first-round pick is a 15 or lower because, the Dolphins are set up. They are set up so well right now. It's Dolphins fans, we suffered a lot last year. It actually wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be last year. But we suffered. We went through it. We knew what last year was going to be. And the Dolphins put themselves in position for exactly what started to take place yesterday and what they know is going to happen in this upcoming draft and in next year's draft. And thank you, Bill O'Brien, for helping get the Dolphins there. But that's a horrible trade. Now, on the other end, great for the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. Great for the Cardinals. You want to know why? First of all, you just got the best receiver in the game. Second of all, you already had a running back in place. Trading David Johnson was nothing. In my opinion, at this stage in their careers, Kenyon Drake is a better running back. And even if you don't love Kenyon Drake, you can get a really good running back.
You can
get you're only saying that because the Dolphins never used him as an every down back because he was underutilized.
I just think isn't he a little
which
small?
is good. A little bit, but he's really fast and elusive though, and he's a good dual threat back.
I like him. I've always liked him. And I know that the Dolphins didn't use him the way they should have. They should have used him more.
Which is to say they didn't use him.
They should have been more versatile with him, but they didn't. Yeah. They always said they were going to, but they never did.
Well, what's weird about it too is that Brian Flores, the coach on the Miami Dolphins, is somebody coming from the Patriots who, like most Patriot things, values versatility. And Kenyon Drake was actually a very versatile piece. And they treated him just like the previous regime treated him, which was like trash. Adam Gase didn't value him at all, and Flores didn't know what to do with him last year. I honestly actually think Flores avoided using him because he might have thought that Kenyon Drake could have helped them win more games, and that might not have been a good thing for the tank. But anyways, regardless though, I believe that the Cardinals got significantly better yesterday, and now you have paired, even though it's probably only going to be for a year, you've at least paired Fitzgerald with DeAndre Hopkins, the two, you've got one future Hall of Fame receiver and probably another one that are going to be side by side now. And then you still have, who else do they have? They got Christian Kirk, right? They've got Kenyon Drake in their backfield. You've got Kyler Murray at quarterback. I mean, I think the Cardinals are set up. I think they're set up nicely. And if you're the Cardinals and you don't love Kenyon Drake, big deal. This draft is chock full of running backs. You can get a really, really good running back in either of the first 2 rounds, even probably into the 3rd round. There will probably be some guys on day 2 or 3 that running backs. It's tough. It's tough to be a running back in the NFL. It's hard. It's hard to get paid. Your shelf life is really short. But the good news,
Frank Gore,
is unless you're Frank Gore, yeah. But those guys are the exception. So, I mean, good day for the Cardinals yesterday. Really bad. I just don't know what to say about the Houston Texans. That is a poorly run organization because the guy who is the coach is also the guy calling the shots and buying the groceries, and that is a recipe for disaster.
Wordness. All right, so we've done that. I don't really have to touch on it anymore. I think you've covered it pretty thoroughly. But we do want to talk about something that I know Clinton's getting excited for. If you have anything that you want us to talk about, go ahead and put it in the comment section live, and we will put it on the screen, and we will get to it as quick as possible. Also, don't hesitate to give this video a thumbs up. We really appreciate those thumbs ups. They really help us out.
I did it before.
Go ahead, share it. Why not? Be crazy. Sharing is caring. All right, so we're not going to be shaking hands or anything, or we're far away from you.
Oh, you don't want to be like Trump, shake everybody's hands, touch the microphone a lot,
like Rudy Gobert. There's no such thing as the coronavirus, and you touched all the microphones. And
I can't believe
I'm like a day later.
I can't believe I'm saying this, especially as a lifelong Republican, but Joe Biden cannot take office soon enough. He can't. I mean, can we just get it done now? He's not perfect by any stretch. I think most Democrats will even tell you Joe Biden is not perfect by any stretch, but my God, he needs to get in office as soon as humanly possible.
I was actually, it's funny that you said, because I saw your tweet about it, and I showed it to Christine.
Which one?
I saw one of them. I don't know which one, but it was one that was basically like, this can't happen fast enough. Please, you're our only hope, Joe Biden, or whatever.
Yeah,
I showed it to Christine. I go, and he's one of like my friends that is like a diehard Republican. Like that's where we're at right now. He is a mindful Republican. He's not gonna just unequivocally vote Republican because he has a brain and he uses it.
I will.
And if you are putting yourself in a bad situation, he will like you voted for Kasich.
This will be. I did. Yeah. See, last year, I felt like I was. Oh no, sorry. Last election in 2016, I felt like I was stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I wrote my vote in, and my conscience felt good about that. I'm not going to do that this time around. I am absolutely. I don't care if it's Bernie or Biden. It's going to be Biden, but I'm pulling the lever for him. I will for the first time in my life. Will pull a lever for a Democrat. I've never done it, but I can't. I wouldn't even fathom of voting for Donald Trump. We need actual, real national leadership, and this disaster that we are going through right now, this pandemic, is showing you how important national leadership is. But I will also say, though, that I've been very impressed with local leadership, and I don't love Ned Lamont, our governor here, but I will admit he, along with Cuomo in New York, have done a really good job of banding together. In the absence of national leadership, these local leaders have done a good job, specifically the governors in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, of saying, you know what? Our president sucks. We need to make something happen on our end. And I believe they are doing a really good job of that. Connecticut, New York, New Jersey are doing a really good job of trying to shut shit down. And, meanwhile, our president is like, whatever, it's not a big deal. Everything's going to be fine. We're all going to be good. Good. Go have a slice of cake at Mar-a-Lago. Everything will be great. Fuck that shit. I am so done with this country needs to be done with this guy. I mean, I hate to use it. Look, I'll probably get in trouble for this because I know this is not a PC word. And I mean that when I say this word,
man, getting into politics now.
I mean it in like, I actually wonder if he's like retarded. I know you're not supposed to use that word because because when you talk about people like, I don't know what to say. I mean, something is wrong. Like there is a circuit that is shut off in that head or two. Something's not right. Did you just take a selfie?
Yeah.
I just heard a camera go off.
I took a screenshot.
Oh, of me like stumbling over the fact that I said that word. I hate using that word. It's a terrible word to use. But I really think there's clearly something wrong with our president. There is a gross absence of national leadership right now. And at this point, turn to your local leaders. Don't watch him. Stay off of CNN or MSNBC, or of course don't go near Fox. But just don't just try and watch like your local news right now, and just concentrate on what like your local leaders say, because their heads are all screwed on pretty straight going through this. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Is developmentally disabled. Thank you, Damien. Damien, of course, our beautiful mind, our local resident beautiful mind, has come to my rescue as I stumbled over my words and used the R word. But yes, developmentally disabled. That's a really nice way of putting it. And especially from Damien, who I know probably hates Trump even more than I do. And that's saying something. So, yes, I know. I'm sorry to get into politics. I didn't really want to do that, but yeah, it's part of our landscape right now. So
you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Let's get back to football.
So we have some stuff to talk about. And some of that stuff is, hold on, let me just open this up so I can, all the stuff that I've been putting into Dropbox can.
Thanks, I'd give you a hug, but that's not practicing good social distancing
right.
skills right now. So I'll just give you like a virtual bump. I don't know.
All right, so sorry, I'm texting with a friend of mine right now about something. All right, so
pay attention.
So anyway, right now, the Bills have done something that we've been asking for a long time, and I say we as in me and Clint, because he's the other Bills fan that I know that watches this show, and the Bills did something huge. And I'm super happy about it, but at the same time, I'm not 100% on board with it. And it's all right. Let me get into this. So Stefon Diggs is a great wide receiver, not one of the top 5,
top 10.
He might be a top 10, low end top 10.
I would put him in the 8 to 10 range.
Because like there's Michael Thomas, there's
Michael Thomas is
Julio
arguably
Jones.
Hopkins, Julio Jones, and Michael Thomas are probably best.
OBJ,
Amari
Hopkins,
Cooper,
Amari Cooper,
Devontae Adams.
Yeah, there are some people out there that are really good.
Diggs is
even Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen might be better on his team. They were kind of 1A, 1B. They're different.
I think a healthy Devontae Parker has shown you he might work his way into that discussion.
That is my biggest problem, is that they got a guy who is not a big guy. He's 6 feet, 6 feet tall.
Yes.
Super fast, very fast. Great hands.
Better hands than me.
But is he worth what they gave up? Which is the Vikings basically got all the Bills picks for the next 5 years.
It's not that. got 4 picks.
They did. They got 4.
Well, the most
picks.
significant of them are the first rounder this year and the 4th rounder next year.
But the Bills also, they did sign AJ Klein as well, who's the linebacker for the Saints, who's not a very good. He's a good rushing linebacker, not so much a pass linebacker. Like, he's not good on the pass. He gets burnt a lot, but overall, good linebacker, someone good to have on your team as well. But I will say, and I'll let you get into the picks and all that kind of stuff after this, because I know you follow the draft more than I do, and how important all these picks might be. But I will say, the funniest tweet that I had saw was this one right here. And you'll see it in 1 second, Brian. And it is right here, right in the middle, by Elliot Christ. I don't know how you pronounce his name. The players Josh Allen this is before the Stefon Diggs trade, of course, because you put Stefon Diggs in this tweet as well. The players Josh Allen is going to throw to this year are so good. Well, I'll even put Stefon Diggs in there. Stefon Diggs, John Brown, Stephen Gilmore, Byron Jones, and Xavier Howard. He's going to be throwing to some serious cornerbacks this year. Sure. He's got some cornerbacks that he's going to have to deal with. They upgraded at wide receiver. I am not, like I said, I've been wanting someone like Amari Cooper, who is tall, who can go up for a ball and get it, not just a fast guy. This also helps because it puts Smoke in a different category where you can use him more as a slot, probably. I don't know how comfortable he is there. And I know Beasley is also in that slot area. But now you have 2 threats on the sides, and you have, if you want to use Beasley as your slot in the middle, and Knox. They have a good wide receiving core. Devin Singletary is another good option. He's also a small running back, but elusive, and I'll be interested to see how all that works out because, like I said, Devontae Freeman is out there and available. And I don't know how banged up he is. I don't know what his health situation is. He hasn't been great for the Falcons over the last couple of years, been injured and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what his health situation is. Could it be they're just done and they need to free up cap space? I don't know.
My feeling about running backs, unless you have one of the absolute elite guys, is that you address that in the draft.
Well, the Bills can't do that now.
No, that's not true though. They can. They have their second rounder. I mean, they could they could get a very good running back in the second round, even because that pick would be somewhere in the low 50s. So they could definitely still get themselves a really good running back. You get a starting running back with that second round pick, if depending on who's available. It just depends on when that late first to early second round run starts on running backs, because it'll start with DeAndre Swift. And then next thing you know, it'll be Dobbins from Ohio State, then Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin, Travis Etienne from Clemson. So it's going to be, the run will start.
Herbert has been looking pretty nice in his combine stuff. Yeah.
But let's go back
balls,
to,
man.
I don't want to talk about him because I don't want anything to do with him. But
he's got a cannon.
But yeah, so you know what? Ryan Tannehill looked really great to a lot of scouts. At the combine, he looked good in pro day workouts.
That was such an overpay on contract.
Well, I mean, it was. I mean, basically, plus they tagged Derrick Henry, so they're basically paying Ryan Tannehill $30 million.
Nope.
You are paying Ryan Tannehill $30 million a year, which is roughly you're paying him $1 million per handoff to Derrick Henry. That's really what you're paying Ryan Tannehill. Hey, listen, I'm happy for Ryan Tannehill. I wish him all the best. I'm glad that he found success elsewhere. He's still an average quarterback at best. That's the bottom line. And that's not sour grapes coming from me. That's a fact. Look at the numbers. The numbers will tell you the kind of quarterback he was. He's a middle of the pack game managing quarterback. Fits very well there. And I'm happy for him. That was a great deal for him. His agent deserves a fucking hug or a sticker or a pat in the back or something. But bottom line, Ryan Tannehill to me is a average. He's a average to maybe slightly above average starter in the NFL, and that's it. And he got paid market value. Average quarterbacks in the NFL make $30 million a year. Let's go back to the trade. So Buffalo sent 4 picks to the Vikings for Stefon Diggs. A first, a fifth, and a sixth in 2020, and a fourth in 2021.
Not as bad as the Texans trade.
the Vikings, the Bills get Stephon Diggs and a 2027 rounder from the Vikings, which is obviously meaningless. I'll tell you what. I actually think, here's why I actually don't mind the trade. If I were the Dolphins, of course I would love it because the Dolphins have 3 first-round picks. And if the Dolphins had given one of, like that 26th plus a couple others, I'd have been like, awesome. We got Stephon Diggs to pair with, Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. And, it would have been nuts. But
we definitely upgraded on offense. Our defense is great.
Here's why I like it. Here's why I like it.
Just need to work on the O-line and the...
Because
and we need a big guy. We need a big receiver.
Well, look. Here's why I like it. First of all, he's one of the fastest guys in the NFL. Okay, he's a speed demon. Josh Allen, who historically overthrows receivers, might actually have a hard time overthrowing this guy. He's that fast. He's also in his prime. He's still only 26 years old. He actually came off his career best last year. 63 catches, 1,130 yards, 6 touchdowns. Great campaign. His career best was 102 catches in 2018. He is going to be a massive target for Josh Allen. Maybe not massive in stature, but in terms of his importance to that team, he's going to be huge for them. And that takes a little bit of pressure off of them in terms of having to get a receiver with that first. Here's why I like it, though. You traded away a late first-round pick. Was it the 21st pick overall? And you got guaranteed value in return. Chances are with that 21st pick, they were taking a receiver. Most mock drafts have a receiver going to the Bills at 21, probably because everyone knows that is a huge area of need for them. So instead of using that pick on an unknown and a guy who's going to probably need time to develop in his rookie season, you traded it for guaranteed value. Stephon Diggs is a legitimate, proven commodity still in his prime in this league under actually a very affordable contract too. 5 years, $72 million. And I don't think he's taken a major quarterback downgrade in terms of going from Kirk Cousins to Josh Allen. If anything, it's like a lateral movement. I mean, it's not an upgrade, but I wouldn't consider it a major downgrade either. So in terms of quarterback talent, probably the same. Josh Allen could do more with his legs, though. True. So, if you're the Bills, does it sting a little? Yeah, but most good trades do. I do not think that this is the fleecing that the internet is making it out to be. I'm sorry, I just don't. Because if you're the Bills, you acquired a known valued commodity. The 21st pick is not automatic. The first pick is not automatic. There are no givens in the NFL draft. It's all chance. It's all luck. A lot of it is luck. There have been very few sure things in NFL drafts. I've said this before multiple times. The only sure thing, the only guy who I thought was an absolute sure thing in the last 10 years was Andrew Luck. And he's out of the league right now. And he was a sure thing. He was great. Retired very early.
This is Diggs' contract that's left.
What's left of it? I mean, it was 572 when he signed it, right?
It's a lot. He's contracted. He's not an unrestricted free agent until 2024.
But that's good. You're getting your best years. You're going to get his best years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I agree with you. And if he starts to have a big decline when he's like 28, 27, I mean, it's only a dead cap hit when he's 27 at $6 million. Then it's $3 million in 2028. I mean, this is likely a contract that if he does a good job, he will get an extension early. They'll extend him early. Yeah, and probably. They'll sign him until he's like 33 or 34.
I like it. I like it for the Bill. I hate it because now he's in the division with the Dolphins, which I hate.
But your Dolphins have like
that seems like a nice
lockdown corners.
That seems like a nice little segue actually into what the Miami Dolphins did yesterday. Now listen, I don't get overly hyped up about free agency frenzy, especially when it comes to my Miami football Dolphins, because the Dolphins have many times been the champions of free agency and are never the champions of anything else. But they did have a good a very solid to good day yesterday. We'll work our way down in terms of, in my opinion, impact. And we'll start right there with Byron Jones, who now a lot of people will look at this contract and say, well, you just made Byron Jones the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. You're paying him $17 million a year over 5 years. You made him the highest, and he only had 2 interceptions last year. The reason why he doesn't get a lot of interceptions is pretty simple. He's not often thrown at. He doesn't get a lot of opportunities for interceptions. He is considered a lockdown corner. Is he the best corner in football? No. Hell, if Xavier Howard is healthy, Byron Jones isn't even the best corner on that team. But he's a very sticky guy. He probably gets away with a little bit more, from a penalty situation because he's handsy, he's grabsy, he's aggressive. I like him. I like the signing. It's a super aggressive signing, and I have no problem with teams sinking resources into high impact defensive positions. Because if you're a National Football League general manager, there are, to me, 3 or 4 positions of vast importance. Mm-hmm. 1, quarterback first and foremost. And this is in no particular order. 2, offensive line. 3, cornerback. 4, linebacker or defensive end. I mean, those are like your major impact positions. The safeties, defensive tackles, stuff like that. They're important positions, but they're not the game changers. The 4 that I mentioned, those are usually the game changer positions. I have no problem with the Dolphins putting a lot of their finances and resources into cornerbacks. Not a problem at all. That's great. Now you just need to have guys to get to the quarterback to actually cause some pressure. But the Dolphins, I think, did a good job of addressing that yesterday as well, because they went and signed Kyle Van Noy from the Patriots, who Brian Flores knows very well. Also very versatile player, should fit seamlessly into this defense. He was actually the one guy my brother and I in talking really well. I mean, we wanted Conklin, who actually ended up going to the Cleveland Browns. And I'm not sure why the Dolphins weren't willing to swim in those waters, considering the contract that he got from the Browns, but because it was 3 years and $42 million, which I think is not bad. I would have paid him close to $15 million a year. But nevertheless, the Dolphins decided not to go there. They allocated their resources, a little bit differently. So they get Byron Jones. So now you have 2, in theory, lockdown corners in Miami with Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. The Byron Jones pickup is actually very important for next year because Howard is going to serve some kind of a suspension. The NFL just hasn't doled it out yet, but he will serve some kind of a suspension for the domestic violence dispute that he had with his girlfriend or wife or whoever. That's going to come down at some point. It's just a question of how many games. The good news for him is that charges were not I think his girlfriend or his wife did not file charges, or I think it was his fiance, did not file charges. So that will maybe help him a little bit, but the NFL looks at things through a different prism. So he's still going to get some kind of suspension. So it'll be important to have Byron Jones there. I love the Kyle Van Noy signing. Super versatile. A big part of the Patriots' success the last couple of years. He's really been an important factor for them. He really has been. So I really like that. And again, and then they went and took a guy from your team, Shaq Lawson, who had 6.5 sacks last year for the Bills. Also another versatile piece. He can line up on the outside. He might be able to play a little bit of linebacker. The Dolphins are the Patriots of the South. They value versatility. And they look for guys like this who they can move around on the field, create different looks, try to confuse defenses, try and now pressure quarterbacks into making bad decisions and throwing into this now very lethal secondary. So I see what the Dolphins are trying to do. It's sort of this inside-out approach, right? And then they went and they got Eric Flowers. Now this is an interesting move because a lot of teams, there's a pretty big opinion out there that, well, Eric Flowers, boy, he was a nightmare in New York, caused the Giants a lot of headaches. He was a first-round pick. He totally bombed as a tackle. But then the Jags and then the Redskins moved him inside and put him at guard, and he bloomed. He blossomed really, really well, especially the last 6 to 10 games of the regular season with the Redskins. He really proved to be a top third guard in the league, and the Dolphins went and got him for 3 years and $30 million, and that's the same thing that they paid Shaq Lawson too. So the Dolphins handed out a couple of 3 and 30 contracts yesterday. But the Dolphins did a really good job yesterday. The only other thing I would like to see them do right now is if they want to go grab a veteran running back, that's fine. I don't want it to be like a Melvin Gordon, though, because I don't want them to pay big money for a guy like that. If you want to get like a Jordan Howard type, that's cool, because they're going to draft a running back. And I would prefer that they not pay big money to a veteran running back. Just get a guy on a decent contract who will kind of be there, who could spell a younger running back who's not used to playing 16 and then soon to be 17 games in the NFL. Because these running backs will hit a wall. They always do. So you need a good veteran like that. Like a Jordan Howard would be, I think, like a nice fit. But I don't want to get more expensive and start diving into any deeper waters than that. And then I would like to see them go take the center from the Patriots there, Karras. That'd be great. Just keep plucking assets from the Patriots. Try and weaken them as much as possible. So a really good day yesterday for the Dolphins. And they addressed a lot of needs. They still have about $57 million under the salary cap. They still have about $57 million left in the salary cap. You got to figure with 14 picks, about 16 to 18 million needs to be put aside for rookies. So even if you put that aside, the Dolphins still have about $40 million under the cap. You could do a lot with $40 million under the cap, especially as creative as some of these financial gurus that work for these NFL teams are. They can, the NFL capology it's amazing what they can do. So I think the Dolphins still have a lot of flexibility. They can still make a couple more moves and still actually have money under the cap to roll over to next year. And next year might be even better for them because they've got just as many, not as many assets in the draft, but they still have a lot of draft assets next year. And they have a lot of dead money coming off the books next year. So the Dolphins, for 2 years, if they're doing this right, they should be flush with cash and picks for the next 2 years. And they plugged a lot of holes yesterday. The Dolphins filled 4 starter positions yesterday. You got a starting corner. You got 2 guys on your defensive line / linebacker / edge, and you got yourself a starting offensive guard. Go get a center today.
Quarterback.
Go get a center. Go get a veteran running back today, and then go get your quarterback in the draft.
How much money do the Dolphins still have in the cap? How much do they have left?
You literally didn't hear me say that?
No,
like 3 times.
I was eating. I was doing all sorts of things.
57 million left, but you got to assume about 16 to 18 for rookies, so probably 40. 40 to actually spend. And there's no reason for them to spend all of that.
Bills still have 60.
Yeah, Bills have a lot. Yeah.
Go get
Bills
that
have a lot.
Melvin Gordon.
See, I don't love Melvin Gordon.
I like him better in our situation right now.
I like his skill set, but I'm a little bit queasy after the year he had last year, which was not great. He only averaged like 3.8 yards a carry. It just, I don't know. I got nervous. And it doesn't shock me that the Chargers. It doesn't shock me though that the Chargers prioritized Austin Eckler over him. Not at all.
I think Austin Eckler is kind of he's not going to be very good long term.
You don't think so? Mm-hmm. I think he's a poor man's Christian McCaffrey, but I think he's a quality player. But I think it. Why are you looking at me like that? I called him a poor man's Christian McCaffrey. I didn't say he was.
I think that's being generous.
I don't think so. I think that's pretty on par. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is one of the top, 3 or 4 running backs in the league, and Austin Eckler he's a notch below that. He's a poor man's Christian McCaffrey.
I think he's bottom third, tops, possibly. I think he's a good backup.
There are a couple other real quick things to. So the Browns were actually pretty active yesterday. The Browns handed out the largest ever contract to a tight end in Austin Hooper, and then they also signed Jack Conklin, which I believe was significantly better signing than Austin Hooper. Don't get me wrong, I like Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper from a fantasy perspective was actually pretty valuable last year, but Jack Conklin is one of the top tackles in the league, and he really, really solidifies that offensive line. But if you're a Browns fan, I'm sure you're probably not that excited because the Browns on paper looked tremendous last year and were awful. So I don't know how Browns fans are feeling today. They're probably like, yeah, great. We had a good day yesterday, but we saw how this played out last year, so we're not going to get too excited. Couple other things. We did see Amari Cooper go back to the Dallas Cowboys, which didn't necessarily feel like a fait accompli, but I felt like that was going to happen all along because there was a need. And also Cooper made it pretty clear that he wanted to go back to Dallas. So they get him 5 years, $100 million. Do the math, folks. $20 million a year. He's a rich man. He got that bag, as they say, and he deserved it. He had a great year last year. He's an incredible route runner, one of the best in the league. And I'm not surprised he got it. They tagged Dak Prescott. Cowboys are ready to go. And then this morning, Drew Brees did re-up for another 2 years with the Saints for $50 million, so he gets $25 million a year. He took listen, he's up there in age, but ultimately he did take a slight discount to help the Saints out and give them a little bit of.
He doesn't need to go crazy, and he has to understand he's only going to get worse.
But this now leads us, though, to the biggest news so far of probably even though it maybe shouldn't be because the guy is a 42-year-old quarterback, but Tom Brady is no longer. He will no longer be within 2 days. He will no longer be a member of the New England Patriots. He went on Instagram this morning and said his farewell to Patriots fans.
I got something right.
And ding dong, the witch is dead. And there was a tweet that summed up perfectly how I felt, especially about the last few months, from Armando Salguero, who is a Dolphins beat writer for the Miami Herald. So he said, the last quarterback to beat Tom Brady at home in New England, Ryan Tannehill in the playoffs. The last team to beat Tom Brady at home in the regular season, the Miami Dolphins. Oh, that's nice. That feels good. That warms my heart. That warms my heart to know that Tom Brady, that there was a big Miami Dolphins presence that ended this tyrannical dynasty that we have all had to suffer through. And it's not just Dolphin fans and Bills fans. It's just the entire NFL. Fans in the National Football League hate the Patriots. Not because they're winners. That's never been why. It's mostly been because they're cheaters.
Where does he go?
Where does he go? If I had to put money on it,
reportedly,
I think the Chargers, in my opinion. I think that's where he ends up. Because I think he has a production company out in California, and I think that would suit him well, and it just would be convenient. Mm-hmm. Tampa Bay isn't. Listen, he does not care about the money, so he's not going to care about going to Florida and getting no income tax. That won't mean shit to him. His wife makes more money than he does, so the money means nothing to the Bradys, the Brady Bunchins or the Bunchin Bradys, whatever you call them, but. I think he ends up in San Diego. Part of that is wishful thinking for me, too, because if he goes to San Diego, that also probably means that the Chargers are not likely to try and leapfrog the Dolphins in the draft to get a Tua Tagovailoa. So I'm hopeful that he goes to San Diego, but I would not be even remotely shocked if he ended up in Tampa. But it's going to be one of those two teams, let's be honest, right?
I'm very interested to see what happens with Phillip Rivers. Does he go to the Patriots to stop the bleeding for the short term? What happens? Do they just make a switch?
I think
he's not old.
Rivers. No, I still think he goes to the Colts.
You think so?
Yeah.
That'd be a good move. Good move for him.
I still think
he's only going to be 38 next year. It's decent for a quarterback.
Yeah. The only problem, the thing that bothers me with Rivers, scares me with Rivers, is it looks like the end is here. He did not look good.
His team wasn't good last year.
No, I know, but he wasn't good either, though. I think that you gotta. There's blame to go around.
That's chicken or the egg conversation. Like what's going on there? Quarterback coaching situation. Offensive line, receivers, injuries. There like key injuries to like Gordon and Eckler, who kind of had some issues last year.
Yeah.
Or no, it might have been 2 years ago. But I don't know. I don't know if he's done. I like him. I think he can give you 1 or 2 good years. And that would be good if he goes to the Colts. as long as the Colts can fortify their offensive line for them a little bit. Because they do have weapons, so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out as well. I'm very intrigued with everything. I really need the Bills to make one more good offensive weapon acquisition, and then I need them to fortify the offensive line. Fortifying that offensive line is key for this quarterback who has a habit of taking lots of hits. That is.
I think Rivers. I still think Rivers goes to the Colts. Who is it that the Patriots have? Is it Stidham? Is that the guy? Well, they're kind of high on him though, so I wouldn't be shocked if. You know why I'm happy about this though? The thing I am most happy about is because from a curiosity perspective, I am actually incredibly curious to see how this plays out I would have loved it more 4 or 5 years ago because Brady would have been a way more long-term viable quarterback at that point and still somewhat in his prime, even at 36. I would have liked to have seen how this would play out more because the odds are that it's going to play out in Belichick's favor and make him look like the guy who was really the key cog in all of it. Because Brady's skills, if you've watched him over the last couple of years, especially last year, they are eroding. He's a 42-year-old guy. It's just not the same. I'm sorry. I think you and I can both attest to how we felt at 42 versus 22. Or even 32. It's a different animal.
You keep talking. I'll be right back.
So I think that I'm a little disappointed there because I would have loved to have seen how maybe a Brady leaving a little bit earlier and going up against Belichick would have been very enticing. That would have been kind of must-see TV to see, Brady kind of still in his prime going out just to see, well, who was it really more? Was it more Belichick, the mastermind, or was it more Brady, the master player, the key chess piece in all of this? Because for all these past 20 years, it's been Brady and Belichick together, and now they're not. For the first time in 20 years, they are not going to be together, and it should be really interesting to see, even still, how it plays out. Again, if I had to put money on it, I'll say a slight nod to San Diego, and again, partially wishful thinking. But would not be even remotely surprised if he goes to Tampa. There were some rumblings last night, and my heart was starting to sink when I was reading them that Brady could actually end up in Miami. That will not happen. That has already been confirmed, thank God. Because I put a tweet out this morning, and I 100% meant this when I said it. I said, thank the good Lord, rooting for him, meaning Tom Brady, to succeed would have been the greatest hypocrisy of my existence, and it would have been. I would not have been able to live with myself, forcing myself to root for Tom Brady for even 1 year would have been. I would rather watch the Dolphins go through 5 straight tank seasons than have to root for Tom fucking Brady. No, thank you. No thanks. There was actually also a pretty entertaining tweet that, unfortunately, Shane is not here, so he's not going to hear this. But for Clint, our other resident Buffalo Bill fan. So I don't know if you know who this guy is. His name is Mike Catalana. He's like a broadcast editor or a local news editor out there in like the Rochester area. But he had a great tweet this morning. He said, I love that Tom Brady did this to Boston on St. Patrick's Day when their fans can't go to a bar. Perfect tweet. Perfect tweet from Mike Catalana from the Buffalo area. So, I mean, yesterday was a big day across the NFL. And let's be honest, look, I think as fans, I think we all needed this yesterday because every other sport has been postponed, delayed, in some cases canceled. The NCAA men's and women's basketball tournaments are canceled. We will not have for the first time, I don't even know since when, we will not have men's and women's NCAA basketball champions. And that's just remarkably sad. Completely necessary, but remarkably sad. The NBA has suspended play. I mean, the NBA Finals are probably going to, and this is just assuming that this coronavirus thing kind of passes in a relatively timely manner. We're probably you're going to have NBA Finals possibly into August. I mean, that's how crazy it could get. The NHL has suspended play. Obviously, Major League Baseball. I don't even know when Major League Baseball is going to be back. They've already, Commissioner Rob Manfred has already said it's not going to be in April. Not going to be April 9th, that's for sure. I mean, you may be starting baseball in May. And that's if we're lucky. If we're lucky, baseball will start in May. Yeah, you missed a lot. I've already moved on to like other sports now. Woo. So, but
I don't know what it is perfect means.
So, there was a tweet. No, I'll reread it for you. So there was a tweet from there was this guy, an editor for the locally in Buffalo. And his tweet, it was great this morning. Perfect. He said his name is Matt Catalana. He's like a sports editor in the Rochester area, but, basically covers the Bills. I love that Tom Brady did this to Boston on St. Patrick's Day when their fans can't go to a bar. That's the tweet of the day. Tweet of the day right there, baby. So spot on.
Who wrote that?
Accurate. Mike Catalana.
Yeah.
So that may be worth a follow right there. If you're a Bills fan, he may be worth a follow. But true, like really, I mean, it's like the one day a year that I mean, it really is a perfect tweet. It's just so perfect. I mean, it sucks that nobody can go to a bar on St. Patrick's Day. Hey, I'm going to have a drink today. I'm going to have a beer. I don't drink very often, but I am going to pull out a beer today. I'm going to have a little can of Steve Weiser. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Steve Austin's Broken Skull IPA.
The tweet that you got.
Yeah, that was awesome, wasn't it? I was so excited. Yeah. So just for those who don't know, I sent a tweet out the other day. I said I went and I picked up a 4-pack of El Segundo Steve Austin's Broken Skull IPA, which is a really solid IPA, by the way. You should try it. But I sent a tweet and I said, can't think of a better way to give the hashtag coronavirus the double-barreled middle finger salute than by throwing back a little Stone Cold Steve Austin Broken Skull IPA. Oh, hell yeah. And, of course, I tagged Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Stone Cold Steve Austin responded to me with cheers.
Mm-hmm.
How cool is that?
Hold on. Put it back up so we can see it. Yeah. There it is. Yeah.
Cheers.
Steve Austin BS.
Cheers from Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's cool, man. And listen, I've gotten responses back from a lot of celebrities. That's a top 3 one right there. Hogan, of course, wishing me happy birthday is top of the mountain. It doesn't get better than that. But this is up there. That's good, man. To get a response from Stone Cold, that's pretty cool. Dude's got like at least 1 million followers, so
yeah,
pretty cool, man. But yeah, it's so it's I think we're probably getting ready to wrap up here.
Yep.
Hopefully there will be another distraction of a day today with the NFL. Because honestly, right now, it's all we've got. It's all we've got, man. Every other sport is on lockdown, rightfully so. But this is all we have for now. I mean, and we gotta make the most of it. And I am really glad. And I know it was a controversial decision by the NFL to proceed with free agency, but really, thank God they did. Because we needed something. Like, we need some kind of distraction. And let's be honest. NFL free agency, and I know Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk would heavily disagree because I hate that guy so much. I love attacking him on Twitter because he's such a clown show. And whatever negativity goes that guy's way, he deserves. Plus, he was flip-flopping on this thing like a maniac over the last 72 hours. But the NFL really needed this. The sports world needed it. And in general, I just think people needed some kind of distraction, and the NFL did provide that yesterday, and hopefully throughout the next couple of days with whatever's left of free agency and trades and so forth. Because
looks like Bills also signed Mario Addison.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was last. Was that? No, it was today.
That was today. It was this morning. Yep. But we need it. We need something because this is gonna get worse before it gets better. Let's be honest. I think we all know that.
Emmanuel Ogbah.
So, if the NFL can give us some reprieve from this devastation, that's great. Even if it's only for a couple days. Yesterday was really good, like mentally. I don't know about for you, but mentally for me, yesterday was really good. Because all I cared about was refreshing Twitter to see what was going on in the NFL.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on. I mean, there's so much. I'm just reading through all the rumors and stuff like that, and the signings that happened. And Blake Martinez, good linebacker for the Packers, went to the Giants. So there's lots of stuff going on, man. Lots of stuff.
Yep. I am. And while you were gone, I kind of talked about. I mean, I think at the earliest, I think you're looking, honestly, I think we're looking at like a lockdown of 2 months here, in my opinion.
For football or
just in general? In general, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while.
I think it's gonna be 2 solid months.
Yeah.
I mean, if there is
Clint was saying MLB playoffs in December. I wouldn't be surprised, but I would also.
They got to shorten the season.
I wouldn't be surprised if they shorten the season.
Just got to shorten the season.
By about like 20 to 30 games. Yeah.
Which is fine because some people want that done anyway. Mm-hmm. The only people who don't want that done are owners because the revenues for the stadiums, you're losing 10 home games.
Curling wasn't canceled. Any highlights?
Curling. Yeah. Like I said, let me before we go out, let me talk about
maybe you can do a hot stove of mortgage rates. They still haven't really dropped much right now. I mean, I'm hoping. Well, I'm fingers crossed. I mean, I would like to refi again.
So the Dolphins, I think, might have made another signing.
Agba?
Yeah.
Yeah, Emmanuel Agba. Yeah.
Yeah. What do I know?
That's why I was saying. I didn't know if you had mentioned that when I was gone.
No, because I think it just happened.
So Emmanuel Agba.
What do we know about Emmanuel Agba?
He had 5.5 sacks on the year before going down.
Okay.
He is a defensive end, and he'll have $15 million on the contract with 7.5 fully guaranteed. Shipped from the Browns to the Chiefs in April of last year, thanks to part of the brokering agent Drew Ozenhouse. Unfortunately, his season was halted midway when he suffered a torn pectoral muscle. Now a former second-round pick is taking his talents to South Beach. The Dolphins have been very busy this week. Yeah. So
I like it. I like what they're doing. I mean, they are addressing that defensive side of the ball. They're really trying to make that side of the ball really stout. I'll tell you, man, listen, anytime
Panthers give permission to Cam Newton
to
trade.
Well, I wouldn't touch him. I would not touch him with a 50-foot pole. That arm is a noodle.
In Teddy Bridgewater.
I could see that.
Yeah, I could see it working too.
Of course. Well, you almost have to assume that anything that happens will work, just because we've been so tortured over the last 20 years.
2.875 30-year fixed. When was that?
Who did? 2.875. That's a full percentage point less than what I got. Where do I get that? I got 3.875, and that's good. Damn.
Did he get it like 10 years ago? Because color me intrigued. I'll be on the phone with my mortgage broker right after the show.
Yeah, guess so. So anyways, before we go out, I just wanted to mention the news also about WrestleMania. So WrestleMania has...
Yes, what? What does yes mean, Clint? Be more precise.
Maybe he meant he got it like 10 years ago.
I don't know. Because 10 years ago, that would make sense.
So it was before the run. Okay. So here's the bad news about WrestleMania. It will go on, but it will not be at Raymond James Stadium, and it will not be in front of 65,000 fans in Tampa. It will be at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, in front of 0.0 people. And that is going to be one of the strangest and weirdest things that I will ever witness. That I really just wish Vince would postpone it. Do not go on with that show in an empty arena. Just wait a few months. If it takes 3 months, just push it. I theorized this morning with my youngest daughter who does watch wrestling with me. I said to her, "Why don't they just push this back? Let's try to assume positively here that this thing will all pass in a couple of months, okay? And that maybe something like SummerSlam, which takes place at the end of August, will go on. Why not just push this until then, combine it with SummerSlam, combine WrestleMania and SummerSlam, call it WrestleSlam, and make it a massive event. And just make it a combined event. See, the problem with wrestling is that it's a weekly episodic show. So how do you halt the quote-unquote storylines for that many months?
I'm checking my emails right now.
It's not easy to do. So if you're, and I think that's what Vince is struggling with, is because they're still planning on every week on Raw and SmackDown to be aired live from the Performance Center and just doing what they can to keep the storylines moving. But how do you keep storylines moving along? It's just, and I know that wrestling can't put the pause button on because this is their livelihood. They wrestle every week, but they are not. There's no house shows. There's not going to be any house shows for at least a couple of months. There's not going to obviously be any live pay-per-view shows. I mean, this is a huge financial hit for wrestling, just as it is for a ton of other sports. I worry about it for wrestling, though, because if you're talking about wrestling maybe not being in front of a full arena for like 3 to 4 months, that's trouble. That is trouble. So WrestleMania will be in front of no one. It's really sad. It's really sad. I mean, it's just not the same. Wrestling, of all the fake shit that's out there, wrestling needs the fans. They feed off of the fans. You can play other sports in front of nobody. Is it weird? Yeah, it's weird. But wrestling caters to its fans. The wrestlers, the superstars as they call them, interact with the fans. It's completely reliant on fan response. When these guys are in there and they're saying stuff that you're expecting a fan response to and there's just dead air, it's super awkward. It's like John Oliver telling a joke in an empty studio and nobody's laughing because there's nobody there. It's weird. It's tough, man. It's tough. We gotta all try and band together, get through this together, because it's going to be a rough couple of months. Some people are just going to be going stir crazy, But we got to try and do whatever we can to keep together and not kill each other. And for God's sakes, don't go to. Well, first of all, you can't go to any bars, thankfully, or restaurants. They're all closed. The only thing that's available is pickup, which is smart. Just don't go out. Stay at home. Be with your family. Hug your kids or something. Watch a lot of movies. We're doing movie nights. We're trying to do movie nights like every other night here.
Yeah.
Trying to watch. Like I watched The Mummy with not the new crappy one with Tom Cruise, the original one with Brendan Fraser. I watched that with the kids the other night. They liked it a lot.
It's a good show. I mean, good movie.
Yeah, it was. So I told them, I'm like, hey, there's a Mummy 2. I said, there's also a Mummy 3, but that one sucked. So we'll just do the Mummy 2. And I'm trying to I'm trying to keep them distracted too, because it's tough. This is a hard thing to, I mean, my kids are smart and they're handling it well, but
yeah,
it's a tough thing to explain to, it's just a weird time. And I'm sure for you,
sorry, I'm looking at stocks and mortgage rates right now.
Oh, I know, but I'm sure for you that this is a little scary though, right? I mean, Isla's, she's got
autoimmune disease issues.
Yeah, I mean,
I have autoimmune disease issues. My wife has autoimmune disease issues.
I mean, it's scary. I mean, and my wife is going through what she's going through, so we got to keep her away from anything. And she and I have to actually go out today for an appointment, so so it's. The last thing we want to do is go out. And what's weird too? I mean, you'll probably laugh at this. It's not merely meant to be that funny, but I was in Stop and Shop the other day. I had to grab something, and I'm walking out, and somebody within, I think, 10 feet of me sneezed, and involuntarily, I just felt my feet scamper quickly, my brain just sent a signal down to my feet that said, move along now, son. Run. Yeah.
You know what I thought was...
And I felt bad because I was like, man, that's terrible, but...
You know what I was mad about?
That's the new normal now, though.
I was mad the other day. In the store, it was the first day that, they really canceled everything. There was kids in there, and they were talking about the coronavirus and, douchebag kids. Teenagers.
Uh-huh.
And then
who I'm sure just
one or two of them. No. One or two of them started walking around down aisles and just coughing. I'm thinking to myself, kids, you're an idiot. You're gonna cause a riot, like, or somebody's gonna come over and just punch you in the mouth. like, don't be an idiot. Don't be an idiot.
So much for social distancing. Pop them. So I wanted to bring this up to you because I thought that this was an interesting thing, and I thought kind of a cool thing. And you may have heard of this. You may have heard this yesterday. So I will read this. This is an article from CNN Business. This came out yesterday afternoon. So, with the coronavirus disrupting the global theater marketplace, as in the movie theaters, Universal Pictures is making some of its current film releases available on demand starting this week. The Comcast-owned studio and specialty label Focus Features will make films such as The Invisible Man, The Hunt, and Emma, all of which are currently playing in theaters, available to rent on on-demand services such as Comcast, Sky, Apple, and Amazon on Friday. Consumers will be able to rent the films for $19.99 for 48 hours. This is one I'm looking forward to. DreamWorks Animation's Trolls World Tour will also be on demand starting on April 10th, the same day it's set to be released in North American theaters. Universal said in a statement that it made its movies available in the home now because of the current circumstances, which have made it more challenging to view our films. Given the rapidly evolving and unprecedented changes to consumers' daily lives during this difficult time, the company felt that now was the right time to provide this option in-home as well as in theaters. NBC Universal will continue to evaluate the environment as conditions evolve and will determine the best distribution strategy in each market when the current unique situation changes. Little tip of the cap to Universal. And to some people who might think, well, wait a minute, $20 just to rent a movie for 48 hours? Well, think about it. If you were to take your kids, if you were to take a family of four, an average family of four to the movies, it's a whole hell of a lot more than $20. So I think this is great. I'll get at least two of these. I actually want to see The Invisible Man. I'll watch that with my wife because I don't think that's going to be appropriate for the kids. But the Trolls one, I'll get that too, and I'll watch that with the kids, and we'll watch it a bunch of times over 48 hours. You know?
Right.
I think that's a cool thing. I don't think the movie theater industry is going to love it because there are going to be a lot of interesting things that come out of this coronavirus thing. And I think one of the things that could end up coming out of it is because this has been talked about. This kind of thing has been whispered about in terms of a wave of the movie future sort of thing where movies can go in the theaters but also be available to you on demand at home for maybe more than 20. Because this is, I think they're trying to, not go too crazy with hitting people for like $50, but I could see it getting to a point where sometime in the future, it starts off like that, like $50. You can watch a movie theater at home, but you can have as many people in your house as you want, and kind of make it like a movie theater experience. We may be heading down that path at some point, which I think the movie industry may not love because the last thing they want to do is hurt the movie theaters, but this could be a pathway to that. I've always kind of been in favor of that. I don't know about you. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the movie theater experience and I do like going. I like the whole, sitting there with the kids, getting the popcorn, grabbing the $8 water bottles and just, have fun watching a movie. But I also love being around in my pajamas and sitting at home and relaxing.
It is nice.
Chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, and then watching some movies inside of my studio. So I would be all about that. I would try to mix it up because I wouldn't want to kill the movie theater industry, but I would love watching movies at home too like that. And I would pay. I don't know about 50, but I would definitely pay 25. I think. Maybe even 30. Again, if you go versus what it costs you to take your kids to the theater, take a family of four to the theater, when you factor in snacks and all that crap, you're paying like $70, So, I don't know. And I can see what you guys have been talking about back and forth, so that's interesting. I feel like I've just been carrying this show today. This has been all me. This has been all Brian Man today.
Pretty much. No, Clint and I are talking stocks now.
Anyways. Well, that's going to probably do it for our show today.
I don't have our normal outro.
These are, listen, These are changing times.
I can do this.
Try and stick together.
That's stupid. How about this one? I could hit you up with this. You like this one?
It's a little on the porn side, but oh wow, right there, that really, yeah. I was just gonna say,
elevator
listen,
music.
These are difficult times, trying times. Try to hold your loved ones close, maybe not too close, but kind of close. Be safe out in public. Don't try to just do what the medical experts are saying. Practice social distancing. Wash your hands my hands have never been cleaner
or drier.
Oh my god. Well, no, I've been moisturizing.
I've been trying, yeah. But I wash my hands a tons as it is, so
I know. Do you want to hear a little bit about my level of paranoia right now? But I honestly do think though that the best reaction is an overreaction. But I'll give you a little sample of my paranoia from yesterday. So I had to go drive down to Manchester, right? I always pick up the rent check from our tenant for our house in Manchester, and she always just leaves it in the mailbox. So I drove down to Manchester yesterday. I took a rubber glove with me, put the rubber glove on, opened the mailbox with the rubber glove, grabbed the envelope out of the mailbox, closed the mailbox, put the envelope in the front seat, took off the rubber glove, and still proceeded to hand sanitize. That's where we're at right now. Some people would say that sounds ridiculous, but
not me.
I don't know where she's been. I have no idea. Crap, I mean, I barely even know where I've been.
Speaking of crap,
don't know.
Clint wants us to auction off toilet paper to the best fan.
I've got some in my closet right behind me there. So right there, right behind this. If you open this door, right.
I would say ship me some, but they probably scanned for it and all that.
Have you also started rationing your toilet paper? Like I took my morning dump and I only went with 6 squares. 6 squares. 6 squares. 3 and 3.
Rationing. Definitely rationing.
3 and 3.
Rationing, and prepare to
do a
shower after every.
Yeah, we're gonna learn a lot about ourselves as humans over these next couple of months. We're gonna learn that we could do a lot more with less, or that we could survive with less. We are. Maybe ultimately we'll all become a little bit smarter.
Probably not.
I mean, it's terrible because eventually you're right, because we'll all just get back into our old ways, but like in a year from now, hopefully this is kind of all forgotten, although who knows, we could be going through this again in a year, but I hope not. I'm supposed to be in Disney in a year, so
let's hope for a vaccine that pops up. That'd be nice.
Right, a vaccine, and if and again, just do what the medical professionals and your local leaders, not your national leaders, just do what your local leaders are telling you to do. Just stay away. I don't know about you, I'm all about imposing martial law up in this bitch. Get tanks rolling through the streets. Don't let people point a gun at somebody if they even walk out of their house. Stop. Unless you need to go, get the fuck back in there. I want to see Bruce Willis riding through my streets in a fucking tank with his beret on, saying,
"Quarantining doesn't work.
Get back in your house, so I can get back home in time for the playoffs."
Social distancing works. Quarantining does not.
No, I know. Social distance. Well, we don't know. We really don't know what works.
Social distancing does work. Just don't touch people. Don't touch them. Don't cough on them. Be smart. Common sense, people. Common sense. I
think the other issue, though, is, like, if you go to, like, to me, I don't know about you, the grocery store or, like, a Walmart, that's, like, the most high paranoia for me because like if you go in to grab a cart and they don't have the wipes to wipe the cart down, I'm like, fuck, what am I supposed to do with this? So that's the only thing that kind of freaks me out a little bit. But I will not go into a Walmart or a grocery store now without rubber gloves on. Communist. I want to see some martial law, man. If you've never seen the movie The Siege, where they seal down the borough of Brooklyn to basically squeeze out a terrorist. Bruce Willis is the general, and he just gives this badass martial law speech. It's so great. I mean, it makes me want to actually see martial law imposed in the streets of America. Tanks rolling down the streets. I'm kidding, of course, but if you ever see that movie, like that speech, it's great. He just gives there's a media there, and you've got like Brooklyn kind of in the background. I think the Brooklyn Bridge is like behind him, and he's just giving this speech about how he's gonna we're gonna seal off this borough, and then we're gonna squeeze it. It's great, so great, so great. So I think we're done.
Thank you for tuning in. This is a long show.
Part of the journey is the end, though. So. And stay classy and stay safe.
You can find me on Twitter at @IronHornersFinkle. You can find me on Instagram at Happy McAvoy.
Find me on Twitter at _Bry_man.
Soothing sounds from Shane and the Birdman.
It's really fucking me up. Yeah.
I'm tired. Blood sugar's dropping. I'm 77 now. It's not good. It's on its way down.
What's going down?
Gotta go eat lunch.
Yeah. Me too.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon.
Well, the Christmas tree stays up all year, Clint. It doesn't have Christmas ornaments on it. It has sports and movie ornaments on it and all other sort of pop culture related things. I keep it up all year. Plus, I do love Christmas. So. What did I say? What did I say that says the guy with the Christmas tree up? I don't get it. I don't know what I said. I said something. This fucking music is really... it's really...
There you go. How's that?
Oh, I touched my face. That's not good. Better. Don't get me all riled up again. We gotta go.
You are watching Sports and Sorts live on YouTube. That's 75% sports, 25% sorts.
Thanks for
and
tuning in. Try to keep your
hosts,
sanity, guys.
Shane and the Bry Man.
And we are leaving.
By the way, Clint, thank you for spelling martial law correctly, because I cannot tell you how many times I've seen it on Twitter spelled incorrectly.
Not with SHALL. No. Peace out, bro. We'll see you soon. We'll let you know when we're going to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ShaneTheBryman, and we'll let you know when we go live. Or just get in contact with Clint. He'll let you know, because he's always tracking me down. Peace out. Bye.
And sanitizer and soap.
Lots of it.